Thanks, Pastor Jared. Good morning, everybody. So good to be in church with you this morning. And how about this couple? Yeah, awesome. And I've had the privilege and the joy of being part of their journey now for quite a while. But we thought that this morning would be a very special morning if it's going to be a very special morning anyway, but that you knew a little bit of their story. And so Luke and Kylie, in about 25 minutes, give or take a minute, we are going to have an incredible time where you are going to rededicate your marriage vows to one another. And you're not nervous at all, Luke, are you? You'd reckon it was the first time you're like just about to get married, which is like, I think it's worse than the first time, mate. In any case, how you doing, Kylie?
I'm good.
Doesn't she look lovely?
She does.
That's it. That was your cue.
I did tell her this morning.
How long have I been working with you, mate?
I told her this morning. You weren't there to hear it.
Good. There you go. You've got family here this morning?
Yes.
We want to give a huge welcome to all family that's here this morning to support you guys. In any case, it's going to be a beautiful moment, a very memorable time in your lives. I'm absolutely convinced of that. But just for those who don't know, you've already been married for 16 and a half years, correct?
Yes.
I was trying to do the maths, but...
Well, I was just hoping my intel is correct. You could have corrected me any time. But 16 and a half years, you've already been legally married. And so the question I'm sure that people would be asking, and there'd be many people joining us online as well, and they might be thinking, so you're going to rededicate your marriage vows to one another after being married 16 and a half years. The question would be, why? Why would you want to do that? Now, of course, I've had the joy of being part of your lives and journeying with you, and I think I have a pretty good idea of what the why is all about. But of course, there's always a story. There's always a story behind the why, and that's what we want to do just before we go into that beautiful time where you do rededicate your marriage vows to one another. Tell us the story. So I'm not sure who wants to go first. Luke looks like he's all ready to go. Not. But you keep prodding him. If he thinks he's going to sit there and say nothing, you just go, I'm not saying that, you're going to say it, right? We're family. But tell us the story. Where did it begin? How did we get to be here today?
So, at our first marriage, there was somebody missing. He was probably there, but he most definitely wasn't invited by us. And so the reason why we're doing this is because we want God to be invited to this ceremony and to be well, he already is a part of our marriage, but we just want to publicly declare that, I guess, to all of you. And yeah.
Very true. Very good. So 16 and a half years ago, you guys are getting married, and were you Christians at the time?
Nope.
Neither of you were Christians at the time? And so obviously in the last, how many years, Luke, how many years have you been a Christian now, Kylie?
8.
8 years, and Luke?
And 4.
Right.
4.
He was dragging the chain.
Always does.
You need a good woman, mate, don't you? I tell you. He's like, I would not have got up here if I knew it was going to be bag out on Luke Day. I love him. So, okay, so you become Christians. Did that have a major impact and did that make a big difference in your life, particularly in the story of why today?
Yeah, 100%.
And how?
Well, we had the first, I don't know, at least first 10 years of our marriage was really, really, really tough. And once I became a Christian, I realised that that God played a huge part in my life, and he would be who I would go to when I couldn't go to anyone else, when I couldn't even go to Luke, when I was a mess, when I thought my marriage was ending, and he gave me comfort and reassurance 100% of the time. And so I very quickly realised that God needed to be in our marriage and needed to be number one in our marriage for me. And it took Luke a little longer to realise that, but yeah.
Powerful words right then. You're just saying that there was a point in your marriage where you were concerned that it may be coming to an end. Is that right?
Yeah.
So things were pretty tough. Did Luke know this? Luke, were you aware of this?
I knew things were tough, and I think tough is probably a huge understatement. I wasn't aware that it was as bad as it was. I knew that things were bad, but I didn't know that we were on the brink of, being over. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's pretty common. That's I do get a lot of opportunity to sit with many different couples, and it's all, I can't think of a case when it hasn't been this way, where the husband is a little bit like, really? Are we there? I didn't know that. I didn't even know we're anywhere close to that. Where the wife has been sitting or there for quite some time, and of course it becomes a big surprise to many of the men that we have got to this place. So how did you go about, Kylie? You said that God was, you became a Christian, God was the one that you started to go to. Tell us, how did you go about that? What was the key thing that you would start to talk to God about in healing your marriage and your home?
Well, the issue in our marriage was that Luke was very verbally and emotionally abusive to myself and the children. There was lots of swearing, lots of yelling. If the children or I showed any kind of emotion, then Luke was very uncomfortable with that, and he would yell at us. He would be upset or annoyed if I went out. It was quite, an abusive marriage and family life. And so I always felt I didn't want to go to other people to talk about this, because I was really afraid that they would tell me that I needed to leave Luke, I needed to take the children and leave, and that he wasn't a good man. But going to God, we often do go to God when we feel like we've got no one else. I feel like sometimes God's the last person we go to, but really should be the first. So finally going to God and talking to God about it, I did not at all get the sense that I had to leave Luke. God constantly told me, I've got him, stay strong, be still and know that I'm God. That he just kept repeating that verse to me in my head every single time I would pray. And I knew that Luke wasn't the man that we were seeing in our home. And so, going to God about that, even though it was still really hard, even though I knew in my spirit that God had the situation, did not want me to leave, I didn't want to leave, that God had Luke, it was still really, really hard, because I still had to be at home every day, dealing with the yelling, being sworn at, seeing the children a mess because their dad was being horrible. The children would even say, can't you just leave him? We want to come and live just with you. Can't you just leave him? And that was so heartbreaking to have to... I felt like I kept putting them through this torture and trauma. Eventually I decided that I had to do something about this. We couldn't just keep living like this because
I just wanted, I knew that what I was doing wasn't right, and I tried to change. I knew that I wasn't acting the way that I wanted to act, that I wasn't being the man that I wanted to be. But I would try, like for 10 years or more.
We did marriage counselling, we saw relationship coaches, psychologists. Luke was working in a job where he learnt anger management skills and...
Yeah, I guess I couldn't do it in my own strength,
Right.
no matter how hard I tried. And I guess the turning point in our marriage was when God, in 10 years, I couldn't achieve what God has achieved in the time it took to say 2 words, which were, "It's gone," and complete 180 flip. At that moment, I was a new man.
Yeah. And may I say, just for both of you to be sitting here and being so raw and vulnerable, that all of us, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of all of us, just have the greatest admiration and respect that you would do this, that it could be of some benefit to some others that could be listening, sitting here today or online, that there is hope and it can be restored. Things can be restored. And that's what we want to celebrate this morning. We want to celebrate this story of restoration. And I think we used the word, there was a greater revelation that came out of this. But just quickly on that, for the sake of time, because I want to talk about this revelation of why we thought we should go ahead now and rededicate our marriage vows to one another. Luke, so 8 years ago, it was Kylie, and Kylie, you were talking to God. I might add, for those who may not know God as you do, you're talking about a God that you know real, as a personal. He's personal to you. You speak to him, he is a person.
Yeah.
And you have a personal relationship with him, which makes all the difference, right?
Absolutely.
You weren't just talking to a deity or somebody out in the cosmos. You've actually a real sensing that he's real and you have a personal relationship with him. And so in your prayer time, were you praying for Luke to come to the same revelation?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how did that happen? Because he did. So what happened?
I guess the first thing that had to happen was what was hidden. So what Kylie was keeping from other people, what I had asked her to keep hidden from other people, needed to be exposed and needed to be brought out to the light, which, thank you to you for being a part of that journey and for helping to do that. But it wasn't until this was brought out into the open that we could deal with it and that God could actually work with it. I had to face somebody who was keeping me accountable to God for this to be able to have happened.
And so you were praying for Luke, and then one day he decided, as I recall, this is going back quite some time, but you'll correct me, the first time I met Luke, might have been the second time I'd met you, I don't recall, but the first time I remember meeting Luke, we were up at Picnic Point, I think, and you had said to him, because it was your wedding anniversary, your birthday, something?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
It was your birthday, and you said, look, if you want to give me a gift, the thing I want you to do is come with me and go on a walk. There was a Madagascar trek or walk or something that you were doing, and so he rocks up, and I saw this bloke standing there, sort of just...
He wasn't still atheist at that time.
He was still an atheist at that time, and of course I love atheists. I absolutely love them. I eat them for breakfast because I was one, and I love it. And so I see him stand there. And of course I'm like, I'm not interested in anybody else. I'm interested in him, and he didn't like the idea of it. But we got talking about nutrition and all the things he likes to talk about. That's the trick. How long after that did Luke sort of come or did he talk to you about this thing of God, or how did that happen?
Luke would always try and get me to trip up, as in he would keep saying, but what about this? If God was real, what about this? And I would just talk to the hand kind of thing. But we actually went to Alpha. Church was running Alpha at the time, and we went along to Alpha,
I begrudgingly went to Alpha. I was like, I'll go. Like, this isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, and
it's
he
not
was-
going to have any impact on me, but I'll go. You want me to go, I'll go.
He was very vocal as well about that when we were in Alpha, but that was fine. Everyone's on a journey. And then after that, you had invited him to your Connect, and
Yeah.
I remember you telling Luke to borrow your faith
Yeah.
for a little while, try
That's
it on,
right.
see what it's like.
Yeah.
And I think over that year, so this was 2017, over that year, his heart softened. And it was in November, on the 16th of November, I had a meeting booked with you because I had gotten to this point where I was like, something needs to happen or we're going to get a divorce. I wanted to talk to someone who I thought would be respectful, that I could go to talk to my husband about. The day before, I was praying about our meeting and God very clearly told me I had to take Luke with me. And I was like, oh no, I just don't want to do that. But I didn't think he would come.
All right, I'll go.
Yeah, but he came, and I remember you asked, why are we here? I said everything. Everything that was going on, I told you. You said to Luke, is that right? And
Yeah.
Yes,
Accepted it all.
you did.
2 days later, he was driving to work, and that's when he heard God say, it's gone. And it was a complete 180. He has never sworn at us again. He has never, I won't say never. There's probably been 2 times I can remember in the last 4 years that
That's
he's
not
been
too
a bit angry.
That's not too bad.
No, we can forgive that.
And we're talking anger, we're not talking rage.
Right,
So
right.
I think, everybody gets angry sometimes, right? I'm allowed to get angry sometimes too.
Yeah. And it wasn't something he had to work towards. It wasn't like he gradually started not swearing. It wasn't like he gradually just got less and less angry. It was immediate. It was instant. So you can't argue with that. That was 100% God.
Is it fair to say the turning point was, Luke, when you also, in your own personal way, came to Christ, and you sit here today, as Kylie does, and know that you have a genuine and personal and very real relationship with Jesus Christ?
Absolutely, I can't deny it. I can't deny what happened. Yeah.
I do recall all those years, well, not that long ago, but all those years ago, and we were looking, just you and me. I don't think Kylie was in the room. And I just looked at you after you had asked me a whole bunch of questions. I said, well, either I'm lying to you or I'm telling you the truth. Which is it? And you made the choice either then or at some time shortly to say, no, I don't think you're not lying to me. And so you took that step of faith. And of course, that's where everything changes, right? The scripture says if you draw near to God, he will draw near to you. You took a genuine step towards him. He met you. He said to you a very powerful word, 2 words, it's gone. Here you are today. And Kylie's testifying that she's got an incredible husband and home, and Jesus is at the center of it. And the 2 of you have put Jesus in the center of your lives. And so it pretty much is a miracle.
Yeah, it is. There's no other word for it.
It's a complete healing. That's an awesome thing right there, right? I think sometimes we look for the big miracles. We want to see amazing miracles, but I don't think you're going to see anything greater than a miracle when a heart comes to a personal, real revelation with Jesus. That is the greatest miracle to mankind. That's the greatest one, right? But when you see a couple that will sit there, be vulnerable, and testify that their home is now completely 180, completely different home, all because of Jesus Christ. That's a miracle right there. And of course, I suppose at the end of it all, you've had that privilege of now walking with Jesus. When did you come to the decision, just quickly, on we want to go now and rededicate our marriage vows to one another?
I think it's a journey of forgiveness, and I think it actually started not so long ago. We were going to do this 2 years ago, but Kylie wasn't ready to trust me and to forgive. But I came to a realization that I needed to accept God's forgiveness, that I needed to forgive myself. And it wasn't until that had happened that, we started to see, more forgiveness in our family. I don't know, like last week was probably a bigger moment than most of you guys would know. I wasn't just hugging Christopher and celebrating his baptism, but during that hug, Christopher had said, "I forgive you, Dad." That was huge. And I don't think that could have happened until I had accepted God's forgiveness and forgiven myself. And I think after that had happened, Kylie had made the decision, I believe, I don't know, you can speak for yourself, but came to that point where she had forgiven me and was ready to finally go ahead with what we're doing today.
I'm not sure about anybody else, but I was sitting when I normally sit there, and I saw what was going on in the baptismal font, and of course I'm bawling, but nobody could see because I was facing this way. But grown men bawl and cry, and it's a great idea. And when Jesus is doing what only Jesus can do, what can you say? It's powerful. So we're here today because you guys have had this wonderful journey, and there's a journey of forgiveness and restoration and healing, and now you're saying, we think what we want to do, now that we're a completely different couple, we want to go back and revisit and pledge our vows again to one another. And we'd love to do it in a public way. We don't just want to do it at home with each other. We want to do it publicly. And we want basically for me to conduct that. And so we're going to do that shortly, and we're going to have a very brief break in just a minute. But I think all of us sitting here today, I would love another, they mightn't, but I'd love another 15 minutes just to sit here and chat with them. But I think you've got a bit of an understanding of how very special this is to them, and it has been for me to have been on the journey with them. And so we're very grateful that you're here today to be able to witness what we are about to do after our interval break. And thank you for being here and making it a special and memorable time as well. Can I also say on behalf of everybody here, I'm sitting here listening to two people that are so real, and there's no pretense. There's a real sense of we just want to be true to who we are, and we're not here to put not trying to put anything else on. This is how it is, and this is who we are today. And the word courage doesn't come close to doing when you come to do this. But I think very, very courageous and very brave to be able to sit and tell us your story. And it's just a little peek into it, but it's been an incredible story. And I personally, very personally, am very thankful for the privilege you've given me to be part of that journey. So thank you so much. We're going to go to a brief break, and we'll be back in just 1 minute.